My apologies for being late. Greetings, welcome, esteemed guests from the Federation, the Klingon Defense Force, the Roman Republic, and of course, the Dominion. Welcome to this Starship Stats Review. My apologies for getting here a little late, but now we can focus on the subject at hand, which, before we begin, I must acknowledge two simple things. One, this ship is normally acquired through gambling mechanics, and thus there is not a 100% certainty that should you partake in the said gambling, you will acquire this ship. On a side note, I must also warn that if you have issues like myself, or may suffer from gambling issues themselves, I strongly advise getting assistance or advice before attempting. However, I will add a positive right now. You can also acquire this through the exchange, and as such, there is a more guaranteed and somewhat more financially viable option for acquiring said ship. For those that want a little positivity, I guess I should throw a bit of extra positivity in, because the next negative that I must state and must begin with is to clarify I respect Star Trek Online bringing in ships from outside sources, and this ship was designed by the esteemed engineers of IDW Starship Designs. IDW Comics is not something I have always followed with, but I have tried to keep up with many of ships that have come out within the Federation and other sources. As such, coming across something I've never heard of before was kind of entertaining, and let's say I'm not a fan of gambling mechanics to begin with, but in the case of this one, it's starting off in a really poor spot. Can she pull it back? Well, she's been sitting in front of you this whole time, but allow me to now formally introduce you to the Theseus Miracle Worker Destroyer. This Theseus class is not to be confused with the Temporal Theseus class that you can acquire through the Zen store of Starship Manufacturing. As such, it is to be noted that those two Theseus are very different ships, for those that may be getting confused. I would be putting on the screen right now the stats, but unfortunately my normal source for acquiring has had to change, and I don't think you want a massive black box taking up half the screen. So, let's just hope you don't mind me reading these out. We have a Tier 6 Federation or Federation Allied Faction Starship. Once you completed the tutorial, you can take this ship into service with a hull modifier of 1.15 and a shield modifier of 0.85. She has 5 forward weapons and 2 aft with 3 device slots. Her base turn rate is 15, her impulse modifier is 0.21, inertia rating of 60, and has the ability, which I probably should have taken advantage of equipping dual cannons. There is an experimental weapon we'll get into in a bit. I completely forgot to show what that looks like. Sorry. But you will see it in action regardless. She has the cylindrical quantum slip. Can you tell that I am autistic? I guess I need some augmentations. The cylindrical quantum slipstream drive, innovation abilities, and a Starship Mastery package is the Destroyer one, giving precise weapon systems, bonus accuracy, enhanced weapon banks, bonus crit severity, devastating weaponry, bonus critical chance, enhanced weapon systems, which gives you extra kinetic and energy damage. Wow, I'm stumbling. And the trait is the ship of Theseus. I wonder if you've ever heard the question of the ship of Theseus. For those interested, her Admiralty stats are Engineering 60, Science 29, Tactical 34, with a special being the +8 to Engine and Science per engine ship. Now, obviously I skipped over 2 simple bits. I'm wondering if the Admiralty gives them away. Consuls and bridge officers, 2 of the most defining aspects of a ship, though with recent changes. More so than some might be thinking, so let me pre-warn you. The bridge officers are a Commander Tactical with Miracle Worker Specialization, Lieutenant Commander Engineering with Miracle Worker Specialization, Ensign Engineering, Lieutenant Commander Science, and a Lieutenant Universal. I apologise for the sigh there, but I'll get into that in a second. Consuls are 5 Tactical, 4 Engineering, 2 Science, and 1 Universal. X upgrade this to make it 2 Universals, and we're going to see something big. Okay, so how does this ship overall stand? Sounds alright, right? Miracle Workers have always been highly flexible starships. This starship does not start off in a good place for me, but I cannot deny its stats. Hell, I was even going to avoid picking it up, but when it turned up in the exchange for what I considered to be quite cheap, considering where it comes from, I just had to pick it up. Kinda glad I did. Stats alone, this ship is actually quite remarkable. The final thing to note is its its bonus power of +20 to weapons and +10 to engines. What we have here is exactly what you'd expect from a destroyer. Raw, unadulterated firepower. Whether you want to speak of it in the science side of things or the tactical side of things, this ship has a lot of potential. Of course, its tactical DPS is much higher than its science DPS. With that being noted, EPG builds will work quite well on this ship, but with the obvious side effects that you get from not using the EPG build on a science ship. It also doesn't have any auxiliary power boosting, so that damages it too. But who cares? You could go for your standard tactical DPS build on this ship and see some very good firepower. But with such high number of engineering console slots, you may also want to consider taking a more engineering DPS approach. Now, what do I mean by this? Recently we've had introduced advanced consoles, engineering, science, and of course the locators from tactical have been made into advanced tactical consoles. You cannot mix and match advanced consoles. Now, there are still consoles you can use in the tactical slots that will give some additional tactical DPS. But you could always put some consoles into the engineering, the advanced engineering consoles, and a certain set there will be able to boost your chosen energy damage output and sizably increase how much energy damage you can release. So if we are talking energy build, it may be more useful to utilize the engineering consoles versus the tactical consoles. If you're talking kinetics build, then, well, that hasn't changed. You're using the tactical consoles or you're mental. The simple thing is this. Thanks to such high engineering console slots, this ship can get an extreme output for energy damage. Thanks to such high tactical console slots, this ship can get a very high, even extreme level of kinetic build damage. The result being that this ship is a DPS monster. Maybe not the most powerful, but she is damn strong. Step aside from that and we talk about the things that will be lesser considered when you're picking up a destroyer. Tanking. Well, simply put, with so much universal in engineering, this ship can at least hull tank. Not amazingly, but she can hull tank. Probably would skip the shield tanking though. That being said, with the new advanced consoles, you could try to shield tank. I'm not saying she couldn't, but she does start on a back foot with that shield modifier. As for support with this ship, simply put, she does it and she does it well. Being a miracle worker ship doesn't hurt that. And well, that miracle worker is also half of what's making the energy builds on this ship so damn strong. Long story short, if you're picking up the ship for the stats, let's keep it clear. Anyone who likes energy DPS builds should be considering this ship. But for any other type, Space Barbie. There are plenty of better options for any other type of build. With that being said then, time to look at some other things, but I don't want to just be rude, so let's let this ship have a little bit of fun, shall we? There's some enemies in the distance, I'm sure you can see them. And as we move in, whoops daisy. God, I'm still getting used to this new mouse. Here are, well, the new console weapons. The Breacher Crystal Fragments. Initially triggering and launching 3 of these, we get these wonderful looking fragments. Though I don't think Cryptic ever expected you to take a look at them this closely. Frankly, they look really nice. I do like the way they function and fly. Also, I don't know if anyone's noticed it, but green engines much? Lovely particle trail. Let's let them fly in for a second. And while I'm doing that, hang on a second. Whoops. Change the FOV back a little bit. For those that wonder why I use 20, there's why I use 20. Ship doesn't look so folded then. Well, now looks even more folded. Whoops. Let's go. As you will note, they are targetable. They can be destroyed, but yeah, most enemies don't really have that much firepower. Destruction and crystal effect there then leads to, whoop. Oh look, some new crystals. Now these are really nicely designed. I kind of wish the main warhead looked like these do, because quite frankly these are beautiful and cryptic. Damn cryptic, they look nice. In the case of me, they're going to fly back and buff my ship, but well, safe to say they do sizable decent damage and look amazing doing it. So, with this being said, shall we have a look at the actual console stats? So welcome back to Deep Space Nine. And the console, Universal Launcher Crystal Fragments. Immediately starts off good. At least, for me. Someone who really likes beam weapons and actually has quite a fondness for fire at will. Sorry, Riker. Passive boosting gives it a plus 20.1 to beam weapon damage and a plus 5.3 to weapon power settings. All things considered, that can get quite strong quickly, especially if you're combining this with the new engineering consoles, which can also give you bonus, or should say increase to weapon power settings. Yeah, you can see a ship getting very powerful very quickly. On a side note to that though, Whoopsie daisy. This specific console does have the lovely advantage of making sure that if you have gone for a beam build specifically, which is why I use beam not cannons, you get the max level damage from the console itself. However, it should be noted that this ship does perform at its best as a cannon build, so keep that in mind. Well, I say cannon build, kinetic build probably as well. I'm just not very good with kinetics, so I can't state on that. As for the active ability, deploy branch of fragments, an AoE, kinetic damage and self buff. How does this work? Creates 3 branch of fragments that will deal 10,420.7 kinetic damage, unless you boost a kinetic. Upon colliding with a foe, each branch fragment creates 2 smaller fragments. The small branch of fragments will grant a plus 3.2 beam weapon damage, stacking up to 12 times, and reduces the current cooldown that it reduces current cooldown of created branch fragments by less than 5 seconds upon returning to its owner. Note, they can all be targeted, so it's a good idea to make sure that these don't get targeted and destroyed. I'm trying to remember if this was how they were always supposed to work, because I do remember at one point pretty much reading something different. But hey, I'm not going to complain, because the way they do function in game, I'm quite fond of it. They're not the most powerful, do not get me wrong. This is one of those consoles which really you're only going to be utilising if you're utilising beam weapons. It has most use to clicky builds, and quite frankly, how do I put this without sounding a little bit biased against the ship? Quite frankly, this is one of those consoles which has very limited use. It starts off really well, but due to its minor performance, this is not something you'd use. You'd even think with kinetic damage outputting it might be something you'd want to use on a kinetics build, but due to its raw function and supporting energy builds, no. Do not, if you are a kinetic build player and you're unsure, do not use this console. It is useless to kinetic builds. I know most people that do focus on kinetic DPS do not need that advice, but this is for those that are new to it. Don't do it. Be a total waste of a console slot. The result of this being, due to its severe limited use, either because the passive is only useful to one specific type of build ever, and the active doesn't compensate for it, this console gets a 3 out of 10 from me. About as bad as it can get. I love the fact that it benefits beam output. It's very useful for my types of builds, but it also falls by the wayside because there's too many different ways to get better buffs. Honestly, the new advanced engineering console can give you that buff and more. So just on that alone, oh dear. So let's go over to something that could also be considered a positive. Interesting the type of damage it deals, considering the magics that are being casted here. Okay, yeah, this is an experimental weapon for the magics of STO. I've really got to stop doing the quotation marks. Solaric Array. I have upgraded it already. You can re-engineer it further. But on the base point that you need to know here, simple put, has a 250 targeting arc, will deal over 10,000 fire damage, especially if you've upgraded it. Has a 10% chance of, a 10% chance on firing of a 200 firing cycle, or a 200% firing cycle haste for energy weapons for 4 seconds. And of course, this results in a simple factor. Although it is a 6 second recharge time for this console experimental weapon. Wow, I am stumbling here. I do apologize to everyone. Although it has a 6 second recharge time for this experimental weapon and a average damage output, it is safe to say that due to that firing cycle haste, if you are lucky enough to be triggering it, that can give your energy weapon builds a severe boost. There's a few consoles that I may consider alongside using with it, but honestly, this comes closest to the Impeller, I believe it's called, and that's quite nice. It's not as powerful. Do not get me confused here. The fire damage is mediocre at best. It's not very powerful. There is a trait with the Aspirin that could help it, but the simple factor is you'll be more using this just for that 10% chance of firing cycle haste, and of course there are other things you can do to give yourself firing cycle haste. Maybe not as much, but close to it. Keep in mind, with the haste also goes energy expansion. So this is an experimental weapon that works best with the new advanced engineering consoles than it does tactical. Okay, how does that make me rate this weapon? At least it gets better than the Brancher. I will give this 7 out of 10. Simply because combined effects does result in it being rather useful. So, the trait, Ship of Theseus. This is a very, very cryptic. This is a gambling ship. You want to help this ship out? Don't put mediocre crap on a ship that can cost your captains so damn much. Yes, my anger comes through at this point. Why? Because this ship can go anywhere between costing you £5 to costing you 300 plus. You're talking graphics card territory. You're talking rent territory. Oh god, I wish rent was that low, but you're talking paying for multiple brand new games. Not a single element in one game. Cryptic. So, I'm going to put it this way. This trait is seemingly amazing, but in practice, crap. As there is no way for you to specifically set and choose what bonuses you're getting, it comes down to handicapping yourself, weakening your build to try and get the best output. When innovation abilities are set or triggered, you gain a bonus up to 20 until you change maps. So, upside is that way the bonus works. You may note that I'm not using this trait because the bonus depends on the career, on which career abilities are active, which innovation ability. Oh, yeah. When activating instinctive rerouting or containment layering triggered, containment layering is triggered by either engineering, science, or tactical. Engineering will give you +2 to engines, science will give you +2 to auxiliary, and tactical will give you +2 to weapons. Heisenberg decoupling, ingenious solutions. Engineering will give you +2 to shields, science will give you +7.5 to exotic particle generation, and tactical will give you +0.35% critical chance. The broccoli maneuver, or the plasma conduit purge, when triggered by engineering, will give you +10 to flight speed strength. And triggered by science will give you tactical readiness. And triggered by tactical will give you 1.25% to critical severity. Okay. Right. You want to see the problems here? Your DPS build. Useful things to you then will be, well, tactical DPS build. Useful things to you will be the boost in weapon power from instinctive routing or containment layering. The boost in critical chance from Heisenberg decoupler and ingenious solutions. And the critical severity from the Barclay maneuver, and the plasma conduit purge. These are all triggered by tactical abilities. Okay, so first of all, we're assuming that of the random ones selected from the next innovative ability, you get the one that you really want, because most tactical players are going to be hoping that they get the Heisenberg, ingenious, broccoli, or plasma. They're not really going to be wanting instinctive or containment. This is because the critical chance and critical severity is the most prominent. So hoping that you get 4 out of the 6, yeah, fine, there's a decent chance you will. However, you're triggering your tactical abilities all the time. So unless it happens that of the 4 that you wish for, can you see where this is about to go? You're hoping that the triggering ability will be tactical when you're triggering tactical all the time, and so more likely you're going to find that the last one ability you trigger is either science or engineering, resulting in you not getting the most useful ability for you. Unless you're really lucky and you have broccoli maneuver and plasma conduit and you've happened to have triggered science, at least tactical readiness is somewhat useful to you. I say somewhat because there are way better ways of getting tactical readiness. You're a tank now, okay? You're a tank. Lucky for you guys, this trait becomes a little bit more useful. Oh, wait, no it doesn't, because tanks tend to be triggering off basically all the abilities at random, and where you probably want the same tactical abilities as DPS, because, well, quite frankly, nothing there screams tank to me other than flight speed strength. This results in the chance of you getting a useful ability to you becoming insanely random. I don't even want to try and guess how that goes. So let's go to EPG builds. What's useful there for you? Well, it would be exotic power and exotic particle generation. 2 are immediately dismissed, so this is an issue. You have a dead zone. Maybe flight speed could be considered useful to you. So let's bring all 6 back into it, maybe. I'm just going to hope. Okay. It's a good thing you're so clicky mad, isn't it? Because otherwise, the chance of you setting off a science ability last and getting it is also as low as tactical. But you have a slightly higher chance. I'm not going to say a guaranteed chance of doing it because it's not, but it's slightly higher. All in all, this is a ability. This is a trait that takes far too long to get to its full potential, and should be buffed quite sizably. And then to make things even worse, hello, it's far too random. The chances of actually getting what you need for your build is almost as bad as the gambling lockboxes themselves. Hey, Cryptic loves their gambles. You monkeys. Result being, out of 10, this trait gets 2. This is a lockbox. Well, was it lockbox? Was it promo? This is a gambling ship acquired through gambling mechanics. These, the trait, the experimental weapon, the console, they cannot be bad. Cryptic, you screwed this ship up. So I'm going to make it really blunt right now. Do advise getting this ship. Only if you are getting this ship for its stats. Because there is no other reason to get this ship. Don't waste your money. It's too expensive. It would have been worthwhile getting if it was a Zen Store ship. If this was a Zen Store ship, I'd be far more supporting of it. But it's not. It is highly expensive, and as a result, this ship needs to be performing far better than it is in every category. It can't be only good in one. Not when you could be spending £300 on the ship. It has to be good in the majority. It's simply not. So, you're getting this ship for stats. I don't even think Space Barbie saves this ship. And Space Barbie's a true endgame. If that can't save the ship, my word. But then again, that's down to specific taste. So maybe it saves it for someone. Well, I still don't think it pulls it back that much. So let's have a big look at customization. Maybe we see something good there. Hey, quick, we're just gonna take a quick dock and have a look at customization, because I need to get myself out of negativity mode, because I've gone in slamming into negative. I'm angry right now. I'm wanting to scream at Cryptic. Oh, it's lovely. I hate getting like this, because I know this is something that none of you here want. None of you are here for a screaming mad lunatic of a chaotic neutral nature that just wants to set the world on fire. Oh, hello, ship of Theseus that actually uses the Odyssey skin, and can you tell which one I was using? I define. You suddenly get it with the Odyssey skin, and to be fair, it looks quite nice with the Odyssey skin. Available materials for you are the... My apologies for that sniff just now. Defiant, Galaxy, Intrepid, NX, Odyssey, and Sovereign. You also have Type 0, which is very nice to see. Type 7A available if you want to throw that one on, and that does look good on this ship. Type 8, Type 8B, and I would go through the others, but they are definitely showing their age at this point, so I kind of ignore them. Also, you probably already figured this out, but yeah, no customizable parts. At least you get the window Theseus, and to be fair, Theseus windows are cool, but I swapped to Galaxy, because I'm weird. Let's take the Theseus out, though. We're going to actually fly the Theseus now. For those that want to see it. So, here we go. Let me take her into action for you, and you can see how she performs. That confused me for a second. I was like, what did I just break? What did I break? Oh. I'll mention it now since it is worth mentioning now. Ooh, you're clicky a lot. This ship, I did do a run on for DPS scoring. A couple actually with different builds. As far as energy goes, in all the type of builds I went with, I found two distinctive points that you may be interested in. I'm going to find the experimental weapon so you can see what it looks like. 1. Cannon builds definitely outperform. But 2. This ship has actually got some interesting quirk in performance. Safe to say, Beam Fire Wheel actually ended up getting better for me than I did with Beam Overload, which was odd to say. Let's fire this experimental weapon. Yeah, look at that fire. It's actually kind of cool when it fires. Oh, look who I'm firing it upon. Go on, fire again. Get a good shot in there. Looks alright, doesn't it? Nice little look. Oh, here we come. Here comes the drums, here comes the drums. Firing away like a mad one. Next friend comes in. I'm hoping I'm not going to end up with the bug. Oh wait, no, that was the Hasperin. Whoopee! I forgot I set this up. Let these go mad. Blast them into pieces. I'm actually performing worse right now than I did before. Mind you, that could half come down to the enemies I'm fighting. But yeah, oh, my keyboard is squeaky. Oops! Bye! Right. I'm actually curious as to how much you can hear my clicking. Because, yeah, that drives me crazy, by the way. My spacebar drives me even crazier. Here we go. Here we go, slapping. Woo! Hit them with the weapons. You probably shouldn't have fired that just then. Oh dear, not going to get full use out of my little friends. Go on, turn around and slam into Madran. He's an ugly idiot anyway. He deserves it. Yeah, I did a run of this and Madran's ship didn't even spawn in on that spot. Okay, here we go. Now I'm gonna hit mad. Give it a little bit of flying around. Whips it easy. I hear him beep beep. Who's a beep beep? Beep 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 beep. Sorry, I'm gonna sit underneath these guys. Don't you guys try flying off over there. I am not your friend. Come on. Oh, don't do that. It's awkward when I do that. Not really sitting in the best position for this, but hey-o. To be fair, I don't care. This is fun! I'm going wild! Hit them in the face! I'm blowing up Orions! I actually feel bad because I like the Orion race. Bad sitting spot, but hey, I get some blunt fire in. Get those fires! Torpedoes away! Oh, you set them off at the right time. I do love the fact that Cryptic tried to get us using torpedoes more tactically, but they totally wrecked it. The whole idea behind what was getting torpedoes back in a normal use breached the moment they nerfed it. I call it a nerf because, well, it was a nerf, in my opinion at least. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Ripping you all to pieces, here we go, here we go, here we go. That is a lot down there. Come on, tops away. Well, I've got my critical chances in. I want to make full use of it. Come back to my assist. Hey, what are you doing up there, you? Oh, you fucked me up, didn't you? Let's take some Dyson, why not? It's been a while since I grabbed some Dyson. Ooh, look at the loot. It's so pretty. Fuck off, no one likes me run. So, conclusion. Yeah. I said it. I said it. I've technically already said it, haven't I? But here's the actual scoring I give for the ship. Bearing in mind that when I say scoring for the ship, I'm talking about its stats specifically. So yes, happily I get to score the ship based on its positive. I hate phrasing it that way, but yeah, it's positive. We'll start with support, or science, depends how you want to view it. For support, this ship, I will give it 7 out of 10. It does really well. Tanking, it does, well, for hull tanking, it does 7 out of 10. I'm going to specify there because the other ones are much lower in score. You see where this is going? For science DPS, that's a lower score, but for tactical DPS, well, I will easily give it 9 out of 10. My overall score for this ship is 8 out of 10. And that's so long as I ignore everything other than its stats. My true overall score for this ship is 5 out of 10. It loses so much on simply having a portrait, an intermediate console, and an intermediate experimental weapon. And then being stupidly expensive to acquire. It loses so much with me. IDW's ship was not done its due. IDW comics are amazing. They make some great comics. So to see this happen, one of their ships, that was just rude. No hate against IDW, no hate against the ship's design, even though it's not to my taste in the slightest. I respect the fact that all starships need their own design path, and IDW came up with something quite unique. I just hate the implementation. This ship is Zenstor. That's where it should have been. So, as a result, do I recommend her? Do I recommend her to any of you? Oh, hell no. Not to a single player. I do not recommend her. Hell, honestly, if you have got the box that she's in through the gambling mechanics, do yourself a favor. Look up what the other ships are in that little selection of ships. And be aware that even if you are going for tactical DPS, there are some majorly better choices in there. Ships that easily will give you a great trait and console, or at least one of those two, to go right alongside the actual expense of getting the ship. This ship is a no. Do not get it. It is not worth the time. The only reason you want to get this ship is Space Barbie. That is the only reason. So I'm sorry if I upset anyone with that outcome and this conclusion. I hope that you will understand that this is just my own opinion and my own preference coming through, as well as a little bit of hate towards gambling, mostly because autism has a weakness towards that. Well, ADHD and dopamine does. And I don't like such things being preyed upon. So, frankly put, I apologise to anyone I've offended. And if you have a different opinion of the ship and a viewpoint, then I ask that you comment below, please, because I would greatly appreciate a more positive view. With that being said, a massive thank you to the individuals credited on screen who helped to make this possible. And until next time, please stay safe. Ciao for now.